Good evening. That memory of that day is seared into my brain and haunts me to this day. But I made a conscious choice that night sitting in jail to surrender to this awful disease. I was done. I would do whatever it took to be clean, and my hope was to someday be a voice for those that are still suffering. That, my friends, was a little over 3 months ago. I'm also here to tell you that what happened to me can happen to any of you. I am the new face of addiction. I am blessed and grateful to be able to stand up here and share my story because we are only as sick as our secrets. This journey has been one of hurt, pain, shock to those who knew me. This is not the Amy everyone knew. In fact, a friend of mine told me when she heard the news that there had to have been a child or a dog or an animal inside that home that needed to be rescued. That was the Amy she knew, the person that cared deeply for all that crossed her path. I suppose I should start from the beginning. My story starts in 2013 when I had an emergency appendectomy and during the CAT scan a mass was found, followed by another surgery to remove that mass. At that time I used the pain meds like everyone else, but I liked the feeling a lot. Shortly after that surgery I started going to a pain management clinic for my back. Playing sports my entire life had taken its toll. This is, I believe, the beginning of my addiction. I started using more and more and more. I used them to numb my feelings. I started isolating and only wanted to spend time with my new friend. I rationalized my use because it was prescribed and I was under the care of a doctor, so it must be safe. Addiction is usually the symptom of something much bigger. As successful and loved as I was, I personally never felt like I was enough. I had expectation and societal pressures of what I thought life should be. The white picket fence and a family of my own. When those things didn't happen, I started focusing on what I didn't have versus what I did. I wasn't grateful, I didn't count my blessings, coupled with an I can do it myself nature and a strong sense of stubborn genes. I didn't let anyone in and didn't share my deepest fears, wants, or dreams with anyone. I could handle whatever was thrown at me until I couldn't. I had finally found something to take that all away. I was not aware of what this tiny little pill was about to do to my life. I had completely lost myself, and I know many of you can relate. After a back surgery and an ankle reconstruction, I was in what they call active addiction. I was not going to beat this on my own, even though I tried several times with terrible withdrawals where I thought I might die. This last spring, my close friends knew something wasn't quite right when I started to text them during a time that I was withdrawing. Showed up at my door and an intervention took place. I was taken to Maple Grove Detox Center here in Michigan for a few days and was sent home to figure this all out. I didn't have to do it alone though. I was put in touch with Rivers Bend Bruce Goldberg, whom I'm convinced has saved my life on more than one occasion. I started outpatient therapy and was working a program which was half-assed at its best. I thought if I stopped using pills, everything would be fine. With addiction comes chaos, and everyone in your life is dealing with you and your addiction the best way they know how. There were some major family events over the summer that I was excluded from. My heart was broken too, because family is everything to me. Then school started and I didn't embrace what I'd learned to combat stress. I didn't reach out, I didn't ask for help, I wasn't working a strong program, and relapsed well before the first day of school. I found myself desperately craving for an escape. My brain hadn't had a chance to heal, and my chase for the dragon began again. I did something I would have never done under normal circumstances. I wasn't thinking clearly, I was on autopilot. I just needed that drug, and everything would be okay. My brain felt like it needed it to survive. The night of my arrest wasn't even the worst part. It was telling my family members and my parents the next day. I didn't call them the night before because of felony, you can't get bailed out. I knew they would have been up all night worrying, and I needed them to be strong the next day for what was to come. I have a strong bond with my cousin, and she was who I called throughout the night. And God bless her for calming me down and saying all the right things as she always does. The following morning when I was released from jail, she was there with a smile and a hug, and I was so thankful she could be there to help with my parents. I also asked our close friends from next door to come and help as well. You see, I'm the fixer in my family, and I was now the one needing to be fixed. It was a whirlwind from there, telling my parents what happened, finding a lawyer, talking to district personnel, and then it hit the news, and my world shattered. I knew I was going to lose everything I had worked so hard for. What happened next was a moment I'll never forget. In my darkest moment, my phone started vibrating, and it didn't stop for days. So many people reached out, and I was lifted at a moment when I was in deep despair. They loved me in a way I didn't love myself. People said they were giving back for all I had given them over the years. I felt overwhelmed with emotions. It was so much to process, I couldn't understand why all these people were forgiving me when I hadn't even forgiven myself. Then the call came that I knew was inevitable. I would need to resign from my beloved career, the place I loved and gave my whole life to. The district did all it could to help me, and I'll be forever grateful for that. I met with HR, but first privately met with our superintendent, my friend. And the emotions in that room were almost too much to bear. These people are my family. I wiped my tears and put on my bravest face and went in to face my lawyers and the Human Resource Department to sign paperwork to end my 24-year career. How did I end up here? I figured that out later. Right now I needed to focus. What was I going to do now? I was without a job, living at my parents', and the reality was setting in. I'm now in a place that I had said a few months ago that I was so glad not to be in, the court system. A week after my arrest, I was given permission by the courts to go to Duffy's, Napa Valley in California. I was on a plane the next day and felt plucked from a life I knew so well into the twilight zone. I flew into San Francisco, made it to Duffy's, and was scared to death. I didn't want to be there within the first week. But after the first week, I didn't want to leave. I learned so much and met so many amazing and courageous people. This place was special, and I was welcomed into the recovery world with open arms, and my healing began. It was a place where things happened that I can't explain. After 30 days, I came home. I was pushed out of the protective bubble and back into the reality. I would need everything that I learned to face the coming weeks ahead. I'm back an outpatient again, and now this is a lifelong struggle. I look forward to every Wednesday because I know I'll be surrounded by people that get me without even having to explain. We share the same DNA. We also share our darkest moments. And I'm learning slowly it's okay to share, to have others help me. My recovery journey has begun, but this time I have let people in, and my secret is my story. I put my friends and family through a lot and want to thank them for all that came out to support me. I love you all so much. I especially want to express gratitude to my parents. They're an example of what unconditional love truly means, and I can't thank them enough for staying by my side. Even though I told them, I want them to know it's not their fault. Addiction can happen to anyone, and they provided me with an amazing life. Love you both, and probably don't say it enough. I came here tonight to not only share my story, but to tell you recovery is possible if you're willing to put in the work. I had to go to the most ugly and uncomfortable place inside of me in order to truly be free. I now realize that I'm not good to anyone else if I don't take care of myself first. Betting is frowned upon in the recovery community, but if I had to bet, we could all use a lesson on how to take care of ourselves. I'm so thankful to be able to be here to share my story, because we can only keep what we give away. And last but not least, I want to thank Scott and you, fam, for allowing me to share tonight. Thank you.